I think dissociation is a defense mechanism that has to do with overwhelming stress. That's so much that the only thing you can do is make it go away with the dissociation. And it's a very primitive, powerful way to try to numb oneself. And I think that the culture is going through somewhat of this right now. Our entire culture is dissociating from the most dire threat that we've ever experienced as a species. It is number one, the most ominous threat to our health and our livelihood and the future of the world. Yet, we can do it. It's normal to get really depressed after you lose a family member that's drowned because of a hurricane. Sure, that's not pathological, but it's pathological to stick your head in the sand when there's a fire racing towards you. That's the problem. We've got our foot on the gas, and we have to take our foot on the gas and put it on the brake. Been practicing here in Washington, D.C. for many years. I'm basically outpatient and inpatient psychiatrist in the hospital system. Psychiatry is a way we can address people's difficulties in life, coping. I'm especially interested in crisis stabilization. You see, there's a large heat island in DC. Ironically, the federal government has lots of big buildings and big roadways, and these collect heat. It's sad that the federal government subsidizes the oil industry so much that it's like they're going to be hoisted by their own petard. There is a great discrepancy. In some areas of the city, there's less tree cover. And if you look at the areas, the more affluent places have much better tree cover, for example. Environmental justice needs to improve that, as well as justice for all of us to have clean air, clean water, and hope for the future as regards climate change. Yes, extreme weather events have terrible, devastating effects on physical health, but even broader and more long-lasting effects on mental health.
Rain is expected to hit Northern California overnight into tomorrow, bringing more flooding and landslides. 21 million people, more than half the state's population, are under flood alerts right now.
Later on tonight, as Santa's climbing down there trying to fit in the chimney, if you have a chimney, or he's just going to knock on the door probably, who knows, you know?
Think of Katrina. And when Katrina came into New Orleans, it was devastating. 1,200 people died. Many homes flooded. People were caught in their attics and so forth. Well, that left a lot of people with terrible loss. Loss of home, loss of loved ones, loss of pets. They got PTSD and terrible grief reactions, major depression. There was more drinking, a lot of mental health impacts. Jenna is a good example of that, and Wendy Well.
Welcome to Flower Arranging for the Apocalypse. I'm Wendy Well. In the apocalypse, we'll find that we'll be left with a lot of kind of remnants of weapons of mass destruction and
she's been working diligently on trying to get the word out about climate change and producing art in this regard. I think it can be very helpful. We need to keep our hopes up, and I think there's a very, very good chance we're going to be able to prevail in this problem. We're smart enough to have gotten to where we are now, but dumb enough not to do anything about it yet. So we have to get off our butts and start working on this together with other countries and stop acting like this is a little political divisive game. Rather, we're dealing with chemistry and physics, and we need to address it.
In 1972, global leaders came together in Sweden for the first ever United Nations Conference on the Human Environment. It was unlike any previous event, bringing together 113 governments to discuss humanity's impact on the natural world.
We can move towards clean energy, towards cleaner cars, towards better transportation with less pollution, towards less coal, people who live in places where coal is mined, and the whole topography changes because of huge amounts of earth are taken off at the top of mountains and the sides of mountains, and everything looks different. It changes the whole area. People who live there, they really miss the way it used to be. There's a study in at Johns Hopkins, in the emergency room. There are a lot more admissions during heat waves for assaults, for firearm injuries, for other kinds of injuries that had to do with interpersonal conflict during heat waves. People who are neurodivergent notice things that other people don't. When my granddaughter was 1 year old, she went outside after about a week and a half of rain in Virginia, and the sky had turned incredibly blue because that was when COVID had hit and there was no traffic going on. And all of a sudden, the sky was intensely blue. And you know what she did? A little 1 year old could notice. She pointed up at the sky. And she was astounded. What I did one day when a lady came in, she was rushing because she was late and said, "Oh, all I need was my prescription." I said, "I've got time to see you." She came in at the end of a session. Then she started talking about how she'd been watching things about climate change on the TV, and it was really upsetting. But then again, there's nothing we can do about it, so why try? And then she smiled, and I said, "You know, I'm concerned about this too." And she started crying. She really got in touch with her feelings. When you sympathize with somebody, even if they're using a defense mechanism like disavowal, they're playing it down, and you say, I am concerned about it too, all of a sudden they open up and can get in touch with their feelings. The best therapy is to get involved with another group. A lot of people feel like, "Oh, I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can do." Well, that's what I felt like. But then I was lucky. I went to the American Psychiatric Association in 2017. I saw one of my colleagues, Lisa Van Susker. Another thing is art. You can do art. That was a book I dreamed up. It came to me in a dream. It was all about a little boy, 8, 9 years old, who comes back from the future with the help of a supercomputer from the year 2080 about, and figures out how to do time travel. His parents are actually climate scientists, and they're seeing this huge storm approaching. And Charlie says, "I wonder if there's anything we could do about this." And Supermax, the computer, says, "Sure. Well, all we have to do is go back and talk to your great-great-grandpa. He could do a lot to prevent this climate change." Turns out his great-great-grandpa was none other than Donald Trump. So Charlie goes back from 2080 and tries to persuade his great-great-grandpa and changes his mind about climate change and clean energy.